Hello and welcome to Dead Reckoning, the High Rollers miniseries here on wizards.tv, twitch.tv/D&D. I am your Dungeon Master, Mark Sherlock Humes, British equivalent of some sort of weird love child between Matt Colville and Matthew Mercer. And joining me, I have our players, Chris Trott.
Hi.
Katie Morrison.
Hello.
Tom Hazel with
Hello.
2 L's.
It's my name.
And Kim Richards.
Yo.
How are you feeling? You just got out of bed there, Chris Trott?
I washed my hair and I should never do that.
You got a cute little
top.
side quiff there.
My mistake was I didn't dry it.
Yeah, oh, I
Yeah,
see.
you didn't
You
dry
relied on the elements to dry it for you.
Like a little bit, the Lego hair is creeping back.
It's coming back.
Coming back.
Coming back in a big way.
Yeah, just push it back like that.
Welcome,
It
friends.
just comes back eventually.
2 High Rollers, Dead Reckoning. This is the exclusive little mini series we're doing here for Wizards of the Coast as part of, I've got to get my book, as part of their promotions of Tomb of Annihilation, the latest module set in the lands of Chult, pitting players and characters and heroes against the Lich Acererak. Acererak. I get there eventually.
Acererak.
If you watched our previous mini-series, High Roll's Uncharted Territory, please, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and hopefully you can check it out if you've not seen it on the Wizards YouTube channel. This campaign is sort of my take on a prequel before the events of Tomb of Annihilation itself, and it's all about how the Harpers come to learn about the Soulmonger and Chult and all of kind of that good stuff. I think that's it. Don't forget, you can watch our regular Dungeons & Dragons stream that we do, our own homebrew game, which is on twitch.tv/yogscast on Sundays at 5 PM BST or 9 AM PDT. And there's tons more awesome D&D content throughout the week here on twitch.tv/D&D. You can check out the schedule in the Twitch page below and on their social media. I got that.
You did it.
Twitter at WizardsD&D, and we are at High Rollers D&D if you want to follow our antics.
Thank you, Katie. Please give me a 1-sentence phrase on who you are all playing in this adventure.
Bob.
Let's start with Kim Richards this week.
Come on, do it again.
Bob.
No. Do your character and we can do the joke.
I am worthless.
That wasn't even a joke.
How much regret do you have at your name choice right now?
To be honest, I knew this would happen, and a little part of me is kind of reveling in it.
Garbage person.
I am worthless, for an awesomer blood hunter class, and I have gone batshit crazy because my child was taken away from me at birth, and the baby daddy.
And you died.
And I was executed for having a child with the enemy.
Brought back to life.
Somehow.
Thank you. Tom Hazel.
Let me just find my focus. Apple and pears.
Gotta have that voice. That's a common thing.
My name is Tolshan Corborn, master of the criminal underworld. Thief, scoundrel, and apparently slaver puncher.
You are indeed slaver puncher.
And I am just a mastermind rogue.
You're a mastermind rogue. Deep gnome.
Swerf
Neblin.
Yeah, flicking coins to various people, bribes.
Yep.
Stuffs.
Yep.
Stuff.
Tried to bribe Knowles and didn't work out for you last time, did it?
Really, that was just a failed attempt at getting into the city. It's a good thing we got big old Taryn.
Scary man. Yeah. Well, Katie Morrison, who are you playing?
I am playing Malice. She is a half-drow who grew up as a slave in the Underdark for being a half-drow. Mark, you're causing distractions. How dare you?
Sorry.
How dare you? So she was actually killed in the Underdark and was brought back to life and fled from there after killing the head of the house that she used to serve. She is now a Way of the Long Death monk, and yes, that's about her.
Chris Trott.
I am a big fucking human man called Taryn Newgard. I am a human paladin, oath of conquest. My god is Tempest. I seek glory in battle. I was once part of an elite unit of military men. They weren't good enough because I died. And then I came back from something I don't understand or know about. And now I just seek blood and glory still.
Conquest, you seek worthy opponents.
Worthy opponents, and I crush them to oblivion.
And you, when you did awake from your death thing, you had a mysterious greatsword, epic
skeleton sword.
Yes. Which you are not quite sure how you come across.
It's a Nazgul sound, it draws blood.
Yeah.
Found it.
Amazing.
Found it.
Trash
So, another brief little information for you guys. So this campaign is basically set in the realm of Thay, which if you're familiar with the Forgotten Realms, is where the Red Wizards come from. And it's generally, as the players have been discovering over the last couple of episodes, not a very nice place. It is a place of cruelty and slavery, and generally no laws, and generally is not very nice. And the players have been sent there by a Harper agent, a bit of an underhand Harper agent called Halloway, to try and discover if the Red Wizards are responsible for a strange curse which has been afflicting the land, causing people that have died and been brought back to life to become ill, but also which is preventing resurrections. And in fact, the party, as they stayed in a tavern called the Black Embrace, after meeting with their contact, a mercenary called William Bann, they stayed the night, and as they awoke after a terrible, fitful nightmare of being devoured by a dark void in some sort of ancient tomb, one could say, where they were annihilated. They felt themselves being digested. They awoke, they have vomited black bile, and their hit point maximum has been reduced by 1.
Just another day.
49 for the 50.
Wake up. Taryn, after you kind of promptly awake from the bed, you took one of the inn's rooms and have thrown up. And then you just hear a voice coming from the bed next to you, where there is a small clothed woman that you recognize as one of the mercenaries that was teasing you the previous night, who is just like, oh, it wasn't that bad, was it?
I'm in layers of nightmares. I'm pinching myself.
It's like, nope, you're awake.
Great. A living hell.
Did you sleep in your armor?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
I'm trying to find a pinch point, but
So you can actually see that there's like 2 pillows that have been placed between you and this woman, where like the armor is like, you know.
Oh, I thought she was in a separate bed.
She's like next to you on your bed, and she's just kind of propped herself up on an elbow and is kind of like just laughing to herself, like she just thinks that you're ill from drinking.
My bed.
She like picks herself up, just staunts over, like steps over the puke, like picks up like some uniform that she had.
Do you ever dropped this act?
No. And then she just opens the door, like blows a kiss, and then heads out.
I catch it, no I don't.
I crush it!
I crush it to oblivion.
Any of you who are up, probably Malice, because you only don't need to sleep that much. You might have been wandering around drinking or getting food and things like that. You do see this woman leaving Taryn's room, and she just kind of gives you a wink and then carries on down the corridor.
I'm not phased by that. Cool.
Do they have
Good for you,
rooms-
buddy.
Do they have rooms that are just them on their own?
No,
Sharing.
Taryn's had another bed, but it wasn't slept in.
Okay.
So, but you had to share with.
You had to share with Bron,
yeah.
a large, muscular guard who isn't there when you wake up.
Oh, so I actually get some sleep.
You actually got some sleep
I'm
through
still
the
asleep.
snoring. The worthless. Your room was also whoever was supposed to sleep there. You kind of vaguely remember like maybe somebody coming in, and then you probably made some sort of noise, like a scream, or giggled at them, and then they just left. They were just like, nope, and then they just left. Basically, terrified of this
I live a
crazy
good life.
old woman. And you wake up, the sounds of the city outside are bustling. It's very, very loud. The docks, you are right on the edge of the outer city docks. Byzantium, the city that you're in, is split into kind of 2 regions. You have the outer city and then the inner city. The inner city is kind of where the Thayans generally live, and then the outer city is where freelance merchants, artisans, and things like that may
And
stay.
that's where the Black Embrace is.
The Black Embrace
we're
is
in
in
the
the
outer.
outer city, yeah. The sound of the docks, you can hear ships being pulled in, shouts and yells as cargo's being unlifted. All of the rooms in the Black Embrace have blacked out windows, so they've either been painted with a very thick tar-like paint, and it prevents all light from coming in. The only light you really have is like thin little candles and things like that, little oil lanterns that give off just a dim yellow glow.
So we've got no idea what time it is.
Like, judging by the sounds, it could be early morning, it could be midday, you're not quite sure. I mean, Taryn, being a soldier, you're pretty much like, you sleep for like a regimented 7 hours, and then you're kind of like, well, time to get up.
Yeah.
You know, you've got that routine and regiment built into you. Malice, you kind of have a vague idea, because again, you're used to being underground, where there is no sunlight to judge time, so Drow have this kind of innate sense of, it's probably been about 4 hours or 5 hours since I kind of like have been up and things like that. And also because you only meditate, you're kind of aware of what's going on. But yeah, you two, Snurflip and you kind of have the same thing as well, because you're kind of used to being underground a little bit, although you spent a lot more time on the surface, so maybe it's a bit rusty.
Yeah.
And Worthless, you're just like, you don't really care. Like, it could be
Living the retired life,
yeah,
mate.
it could be
No alarm
could
clocks
be
for me.
1 p.m. What have you got to do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just search for my missing child. Wind up people.
I'm basically sat outside by the, is it canals or docks?
It's docks. It's a big wharf.
Sat on the edge there, maybe with some bread.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the rest of the group to assemble.
Mark off like a couple of copper pieces for the bread. In Fae, there is no like, oh, here, have some free breakfast. It's like, no, you fucking pay.
Bed and breakfast.
There's no bed and breakfast here, just bed.
No Airbnb.
The one thing you do notice on the wharf, though, is as you're kind of watching the ships come in, you can see that kind of past the wall which splits the outer city from the inner city, you can see part of the city that fell into the ocean. You remember being told that during the Second Sundering, which is kind of a worldwide event that happened throughout Toril, part of the city that was very close to the ocean, part of the docks, collapsed, and a large part of the city sank. And is now pretty much flooded. Like, you can see like the tops of buildings just sticking out of the water. You can see a couple of ships that have been wrecked as well, like kind of where the docks maybe once were, and they're completely flooded. And you remember hearing that the things like the old slave hall, the old slave market, and some of the temples were buried under there as well. And you can just see that kind of sticking out from behind the wall. Yes?
As this is a penny pinching area, having a comfortable sleep costs 2 gold.
Yeah, it wasn't, because the mercenaries have already paid, and the mercenaries let you stay there. But there are Tombs, the white, which runs the bar. If you want food, he's just like, copper, there's your bread. Maybe get like a hunk of cheese with it.
To round down from 200.
Yeah, you get to split 1 gold coin into 10 silver coins, and then 1 of those silver coins into 10 copper coins. He's got change, don't worry.
I know, and I had to work that out a minute ago. Nightmare. Alright. So yeah, just waiting for the group.
I'm probably going to already be out as well, because I've been up for a while.
I'm going to stumble out and just like, because obviously there's been no light for a while, I'm just going to like shield myself from the sun and just be like, oh, don't try the pickle juice.
Yeah, you're probably having quite a strong hangover after drinking.
What did I say?
Specialist.
No, never trust the barkeep's choice.
I remember that. Oh, I'm going to sort of just sit down next to him and just sort of keep my eyes closed for a little bit.
There is like that strong sea air, which is both making you sick, but also kind of clearing your head a little bit as well. Like you kind of it stinks quite, strongly of sea salt,
seaweed.
Has anyone seen the other one?
Nah, she'll turn up.
Right.
I've kind of given up on trying to make her do things. So, where do we want to target?
I'm interested by the vampire.
Yes, but how do we talk to him? There's a ladder. Currently, we are not on the ladder.
We walk through. As foreigners, we can access areas. It's just don't break their laws.
Okay. But where is he? We need to talk to someone. We need to find a rung in this ladder.
Gotta stand up
Talk to someone to see where we're at.
and go back into the
Is it in?
plank.
What's Worthless doing at this point?
I come downstairs and I'm looking for Tombs, and I just start saying, Tombs, 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 your name rhymes with wombs, where do you loom?
He's like, probably around here mostly, and he looks around the bar. I've got a shallow grave that I sleep in. Nice. He just kind of cackles away. This undead form just kind of cackling away.
I hope you change the dirt every month.
Oh, of course, yes, must keep clean dirt. He just kind of cackles away.
I'm looking for a vampire.
Vampire? Ooh!
We've got you've got the biggest vampire of them all in one of the cities here. I don't know if he's the biggest in all of Thay, but he's certainly one of the top ones.
One called Matthias?
Yes, General Marshal of the military forces here in Byzantium. I think he's been lent by that old Sassy Tam, the Lich. Better not say his name like that if there's any looks around. Nah, there's no Thayans in here. Yes, he's been sent by Sastan to help oversee the city.
Where can I find him?
Well,
Sounds fun.
I imagine that he'll probably be up in the central citadel with the rest of the military forces at Barrett. That's where the Tharkioness lives as well. She's a fun sort. Quite interesting. Heard that she loves thieves.
Interesting.
You're a man of the world.
Well, I'm a man of the dying, yes.
How would I arrange a meeting with Matthias?
The general, good luck. He's a general. I mean, I don't know. Don't know what it's like back on the Sword Coast or wherever you lot are from, but last time I checked, you don't just walk in and say, "Hello, I'd like to talk to the general, please."
I'll try that.
You can try it, by all means. But he'll be at the central citadel, I imagine.
Thank you.
Likely overseeing the forces.
Tea and scones?
Yep, that'll be 4 coppers.
What?
Well, tea,
Walking
2.
down the stairs.
Scones are a bit nicer than bread.
I paid 2 copper for bread.
Yeah, and cheese.
She gets tea and scones for 4
Yeah.
copper.
Yeah. Do you want tea and scones?
No.
Suit yourself?
Just intrigued
It's not
by your pricing structure.
Of course. My pricing structure depends on how well I like the person.
Being dead,
Yes.
what about vampires?
What
How
about-
much of the one that William was talking about?
He looks at you for a moment, then he looks at Worthless.
I'm just kind of cheekily kind of grinning at him.
What do you want to know?
I'll give a little kind of wink.
What do you want to know?
Where is he?
In the central citadel?
We can't just walk in.
I don't know what it's like on the Sword Coast, but you don't just walk in and say, "I'd like to speak to the general, please."
And he kind of looks at you a bit strangely, laughs.
I was only walking in at this point.
Yeah, no, he's just like...
It's like, look, I mean, I'm just an innkeeper. I keep a few ears to the ground. I know a few necromancers here and there, but that's about it. I can point you in the direction of one of them. Some of them work for the guards.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah? Do they work for the vampire?
Well, yeah, he oversees all of the military forces in the city. Think of him like, he's a general. I know what you want.
Maybe that's a good inn.
I don't know.
Find the closest necromancer.
Well, it depends. Some necromancers are part of the Red Wizards, and they work with the Red Wizards.
Nope.
Some necromancers work with the military because they oversee the undead. Now, they're normally tied to the Red Wizards in some way. Last I heard, some younger wizards, maybe they work for the military as a way of paying their way to enter the Red Wizards. It's a group that you have to join.
I'd like the least detached from Red Wizard's necromancer.
Ooh, least detached. There is a fellow I know. He's a bit of an oddball, really, compared to a lot of other Thayans. He works the night shift. I've seen him walking around a few times. Keeps a retinue of undead with him, but he doesn't just... He's weird. He looks after them, makes sure that they've got nice clothes. He keeps their bodies well preserved, that sort of thing.
Very bizarre.
He's quite a... What should I say? He's a bit of a stickler for the law. He's kind of, I think, he's a bit weird.
And his name?
Weston, I believe.
Weston. And he does a night shift.
Yes, he works on the night shift. I mean, they could be anywhere in the city, but maybe if you go and ask, I don't know, find some guards or go find a watch post or something like that, they might be able to point you in the right direction.
Very well, thank you. Tombs. Hope you
It's
saw
alright.
more scones and tea today.
Well, probably not. I think those are the only scones I had.
Yeah, well, you're selling them at a loss, clearly. I'll turn around and walk away.
It's just like, bye!
Grumpy old Gittany.
He's a miserable. And then he says a word I'm not going to say, but he says the word.
I just started giggling.
I slammed the door on the way.
While me and Malice are outside, I'm just going to look over to her and say, listen, there's a way we can go about this. I think the vampire, he might be a good in, but realistically, me and you, we're people of heist potential. We can help out the mercenaries. the people in the city, based on the hierarchy, it sounds like they will only listen to people with a following. Now, I don't want to propose we start an organisation, but that's what I'm good for.
Okay.
Now,
And
this
how are you
vampire-
going to start doing that?
This vampire, he's already the leader of a massive army. Now, I don't think working for him is necessarily going to gain the respect of everyone else. We want to get to the Red Wizards after all. Now, I propose we start doing little odd jobs, little things here and there. We'll eventually get a following of our own. A following to rival the army of the vampire. And then we will have power over him. That's our into the vampire if we really want to get to him.
You want to make an entire army
Well,
while we
army.
slowly die every day.
Well,
How quick do you think that is going to be? As a plan. Just
I mean, I was only a Neverwinter for a couple of weeks, and I managed to have eyes and ears all over
a couple
the
of
place.
weeks.
How long do you think we have left?
I felt pretty rotten this morning, don't know about you.
Well, so did I, but I mean,
It wasn't the pickle juice. You know that.
I thought it was just a fever dream.
We don't have 2 weeks to raise a following.
I just don't necessarily think the vampire's the way in.
Maybe not, but we need to get somewhere on this ladder.
Taryn probably emerges at this point.
Maybe we don't need a real army. Maybe we can pretend we have one.
Right.
Pretend we have power. Foreign power.
His lies have gone so well for us thus far.
I mean, his lies have gone great. I've had a few slip-ups, sure, but
I
Would-
come out of the tavern, just cheerfully mumbling to myself, and I hand Malice and you a scone.
This is why I don't buy my food. Because I know that she's going to come out and mother me and give me one.
So you
And it's great.
I'm just going to be
Yeah, scone.
instinctively going to hold out like a coin to you.
I'm going to take it.
What kind of coin?
I'm not writing it down, it's a gold coin.
I'm
You just
gonna.
made quite a lot of profit from one scone.
I'm just
I
an
know.
old dear.
And I'm gonna ask her how she slept and if she's okay. And yeah, just make sure she's fine.
Oh, you know me.
Yeah, just
I'm in old
making
crone
sure.
mode now.
Yeah, I noticed. Would I, having perhaps dealt with the Red Wizards, well, not maybe directly, but in some way from the previous house, would I know any contact within like a low rank or anything from...
It's difficult because, I mean, whilst the Underdark is quite expensive, you probably would have met Red Wizard agents who are operating in things like the Sword Coast and that area. Fae is a long way from here, so it's unlikely that you would necessarily know anyone here. There's a few names that you have that maybe you can throw around. You maybe knew...
Bob.
Bob.
He's going to come up eventually.
There's not a Bob.
Red Wizard Bob. I know him well.
You once knew a young male Red Wizard that you remember kind of dealing with, some sort of created magical weapons and things like that that he sold to the house, and his name was Aaron Dekar.
Aaron
Dekar.
Dekar.
Dehkar. But again, this was years ago. It's also difficult, like, you know, you're talking maybe like, 6 years ago out on the Sword Coast. You vaguely remember the name, but it's unlikely if you just don't know if it's going to have any impact here.
How often did House Arcanath deal with the Red Wizards, and did they have a good relationship with them, or was it just...
It was very much a business relationship of often, like, the Red Wizards and the Drow have one thing in common, which is they both trade in slavery, and so the Red Wizards would sometimes arrange slave deals with the Drow where they'd be like, oh, you've got, some surface dwellers that you want to get rid of, we'll take them off your hands. We've got some elven, because the one thing you remember is Red Wizards don't like taking any slaves that have any innate magic, whereas the Drow love that because they can control it. They fit them with anti-magical collars and things like that. The Red Wizards can't produce that en masse. So often it would be a kind of trade of like, we'll take your 10 human slaves and we'll give you, 10 tieflings or 5 elves or whatever. But the other thing that they traded in is the Red Wizards generally don't like trading magical items or weapons to foreigners, but the exception they make is to the Drow, because the Drow trade in things like adamantine and mithril, which they can't get their hands on very easily.
Do you divulge any of this?
Yeah, I'll divulge some of this to these guys.
Well, looking like a drow yourself, maybe you could act as a tradesman seeking magical items or trade. We've got a magical crossbow.
Oh, that was a lie, by the way.
What?
The crossbow, it's just a crossbow.
It's not magical.
No.
Well,
Got me a room.
Well,
I mean, I
either
can
way,
pretend it is again, and you believed it.
I did believe it.
Well, it's a magical crossbow.
Maybe he wants it to be magical and they can help. They're
Actually,
wizards.
I do have something magical on me. I'm going to pull out that spoon that I stole. This is a magical spoon.
Ooh.
Do you want this?
What
Do
does
you
it
know what it
do?
feels like to be uppercutted by a knuckle duster?
No,
I think it's good to know.
I don't actually. Do you have a knuckle duster?
You do. I could easily pry it from your hands.
Pry it from my hands. I'd like to see you try.
It would.
Yes.
Fight number 2.
Wasting time. Why don't you act as a drow tradesman? We go direct to the Red Wizards. And we get on their good side. Offer them something. Offer them a service.
Darkness likes thieves, apparently.
Yes, she does.
Thieves.
There is a thieves
The
guild.
Tharkiness, by the way, is a title, not her name.
It's
That's why I said the.
Sorry, I thought you said Tharkiness. Blah, blah, blah.
Is it Fina?
Darkness.
Is it Fina Talis?
Finatalis, no, that's the contact at
that's
the
the-
Guild of Foreign Trade, which is who William's working for. But
So,
they
yeah,
work
but
directly with the
they're
Tharkiness.
thieves. So maybe the Guild of Foreign Trades,
Is that Finatalis?
Fina Talis
contact
is
there, yeah.
the contact there, and she deals with it's basically thieves. It's a thieves guild.
Well, we need to earn a name for ourselves, do we not?
We need to then, if she's got the Tharkiness, that gets us into the nobility.
Thieving, stealing.
Potentially
that sort of
the
thing,
vampire.
That's my language.
I like vampires.
I don't, but needs must.
Malice, you act as the drow.
Well, if we're going to
Diplomat.
the Guild of Foreign Trades, then
We need
we're
to
all
trade.
foreign.
I know, but
We've got a thief.
they've had dealings, as you said, with the drow before.
No, that the Red
Well,
Wizards
that's
have.
Right.
Not these people.
Fine. Either way, you're a thief.
This is a step. I feel like if we're going to go to, we have that plan for the Red Wizards, but first rung on the ladder.
Are we meant to go
Thieves
to them
Guild.
with trade?
We offer our services of thievery.
Yeah,
Good enough for me.
this is how we make our name. If this is who William works for.
And what an
What are you
honourable
doing?
name.
And wait,
Thief.
and now I'm going to cut to Kim because she wanted to do something. She wanted to say something.
If one was to go and try and find the central barracks,
Central Citadel, you don't need
Central
to find it,
Citadel.
you can see it.
Yeah.
It's this huge obelisk-like building that is in the middle of the city, in the inner city, that just rises up. And it's massive. It's like a huge castle that rises well above the walls.
and I'm guessing it's guarded.
You can see that it has multiple tiers, almost like a kind of palace where it kind of tiers up almost, and each tier has guards patrolling around on the outside. I mean, it looks to be the most fortified building in the entire city.
And do they look like the National Guard?
Yeah, I mean, they wear the City Watch colours, so they've got the same uniforms that the Gnolls and humans were wearing, but with them you can occasionally see figures in red robes walking around as well. You don't see any undead, because it's the morning,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Excused.
Thanks.
Where was the Guild of Foreign Trade? What building was that from our talks with William? Did he say what building that?
Yeah, so
They
it's
were.
actually a completely separate area. You are currently on the very far western side of the city. The Guild of Foreign Trade is far, far to the east, completely on the other side, which is
Outer ring or
also
inner ring?
it's actually kind of separate. It has its own walls and it's tacked on to the edge of the outer city, but it's walled off independently, and it has its own private docks as well.
And I assume we wouldn't know.
I
where
can
the
show you
base-
on this little map. So this is the Guild of Foreign Trade here. So you guys are over here. This is where like the
Oh,
docks
so you have to
are.
go
So you're
all-
literally like all the way over here, and this would be like blah, 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 all the way over there. Or you could try and cut
Sunken
through the
Wolf
office.
is
That's the bit you could see earlier. This is the part of the city that collapsed, yeah. And then you know that the central citadel is this large building in the centre, and then there are various temples and stuff spread around the city. So that's the Guild of Foreign Trade over there, and then you guys are over here.
Long way away.
What time is it now that we're outside?
I think it's early morning. It's about like
So if
maybe
we were
9
travelling across
a.m.
the city, it wouldn't be dark by the time we're there.
No, it will take you a while. The city's very large and it's very busy, but it might take you like a couple of hours to traipse across. If you go throughout the outer city, if you cut through the inner city, you'd maybe save some time, but you need to get through the checkpoints, like the gate checkpoints.
Is there anyone riding horses?
Yeah.
There are horses, yeah, there are like horses like through the city, but no one rides them fast. They're kind of like, you occasionally see, because the centaurs patrol the city as well. There are centaur guards.
Sorry. I'm sorry, like all my cables are tangled
tied
up.
up. Centaurs make their way through the city, and occasionally, like traders will move through. You see, like military captains riding horses, like with patrols around them. Kind of like you'd see, like you get the horse police, like the ridden.
Do we see any like nobles flagging down carriages and things like that?
There's what are they called? Where you got the guy who's like putting it along. What are they called?
Little tuk-tuk things.
Trishaw, yeah. So you got like those where like you can see, but it's not like you hail them down. People have private ones which are basically operated by their own slaves.
Slaves again.
It's generally, if anything requires a manual job that needs to be done during the day, slaves do it.
So there's not much accommodation for tourism here as well.
The Fae is not, its economy is not based on tourism, no. It is not. What you have seen though is,
tour buses.
what you probably would have seen on like the merchants coming in, and if you kind of spend any time near the gates leading into the inner city, it's very wealthy. It's very, very wealthy. The Thayans are covered in jewelry and silks and beautiful clothing, and they are very, very rich. You suspect that this kind of city, Neverwinter is a big city, and Baldur's Gate and all those are big cities, and you can buy stuff there, but there are still things that are hard to come by. Magic items, potions, expensive gemstones, those things are rare, they're treasures. You kind of get the sense that in Byzantia, you can buy pretty much anything, as long as it's not forbidden by the Thayans. You've heard from William that there's no tax for merchants bringing things in, so there's also no laws on what they can't bring in. You want to buy poison? Buy some poison. You want to buy drugs? Buy some drugs. Pretty much everything is for sale. The exception is magic items, weapons and armor especially. Potions and scrolls, bit of a legal grey area. You can buy them, but they're not. It's kind of, they might ask you a lot of questions.
Locked off to red wizards.
Very much, or mainly to the Thayan military and the red wizards.
It's a good thing that crossbow isn't magic. And the spoon, though, I'm going to have to hide that. That's magic.
You're winding me up, and it's too early in the morning for this. No,
It's far too I've got a massive headache.
me summoning my steed might draw too much unwanted attention, so I guess we walk until we can find some slave that's willing to pull us.
Easy. I mean, they'll do anything for any amount of money, those guys.
They're probably owned by a master.
So we'll walk the whole way then.
I mean, we could just pay them like 5 copper.
Or we'll walk.
It's very cheap.
It's very cheap.
We will walk.
But they're everywhere.
I refuse to use a slave.
Waste. There's so many around. They're literally everywhere.
They are everywhere, but they are all doing jobs. Like, you can see that, like, it's not like you can just go up and be like, oh, well, can I have that one for now? Like, they are owned by people and they do jobs.
Walking.
Okay. You begin making your way through the city towards the Guild of Foreign Trade. Along the way, a couple of things happen. The first one is, as you get closer to one of the kind of outskirts, you do see you witness a couple of things. The first one is you see more cases of these Gnoll guards. They'll walk up to a stand, they'll like look it over, you see them going up to a blacksmith. One of them like pulls out a really rusty, nasty looking longsword, throws it on the ground, and then just takes a fresh looking one off the stand, puts it in his sheath. The smith just looks at them desperately, like hoping that that's all they're going to take. They eye up a few things, maybe take a couple of knives, an axe, and then they just walk off. And the man just kind of lets out a long sigh, goes back behind like some sort of shelving unit, pulls out more, puts them on display. But then you can see that what he has on display is not what he has in stock. He has a lot of things packed away, and what is displayed is what he's letting people, these guards, come and take when they want more than anything. The other thing you do find is as you're passing through a middle part of the centre, a man calls out to you. He's like, foreigners, welcome, come. I have some excellent merchandise for you, excellent merchandise,
Not
come.
interested.
No, please, very cheap,
No.
very cheap. And you kind of see him, and as you kind of pull up closer, you can see he's actually gesturing to two quite sickly-looking slaves. A dwarf man who kind of is like very pallid in skin, like his veins are kind of showing a deep colour, and he's kind of like rocking back and forth. And then a young woman who's also kind of looking very similar, looks very ill, like diseased ill. He's like, they're very sickly, but I'm selling them super cheap. You can use them for whatever you want.
How much?
I want to get rid of them. I don't know. Normally, if they were healthy, 50. Let's say 20. 20 gold.
They look like they're gonna die in a day.
I mean, you can just get whatever work you can get out of them. I don't know, like send them to a mine. What do you want to do with them?
I hate to say it, but tombs could use them.
Do they look pretty dead?
That's true.
They look diseased. They look like they're ill. They look like, you can see the woman is kind of shivering, like she's got the shakes.
Does it look unrecoverable though? Like?
You don't know. I mean, do a medicine check.
Yeah, I might go and have a check over and see if there's any resemblance to the death curse.
Okay, yeah. So medicine check.
Nope. 5, 6.
15.
You don't think it's the death curse. This is, you've actually seen this before. It's something which people can, you've seen soldiers get it when things like latrines aren't properly looked after, when they're around a lot of dead corpses. It's generally referred to as the black fever. It's a disease. It's an illness that they've picked up.
Quite a bad one.
It will rack their strength, like they'll slowly get weaker and weaker and then they'll die eventually. But it can go on for like weeks and months if it's untreated. They'll just get worse and worse.
Is it, can some sort of magic cure it?
Yeah, I mean, you know that your power given by Tempest, it is a disease that can be cured. With proper treatments, if they were like looked after, they could probably recover as well. They need things like clean water, bed rest, poultices to help them recover, to boost their immune system and things like that. Or magic.
Everything they're not going to get in this city.
Yeah, unless their master was willing to do it, which you suspect that a lot of them won't. Some might, you don't know. You've not met a lot of the actual slave masters here.
They're too sickly.
No, friend, no, it's fine.
They're more
They
of a
could work.
burden than a...
All right. 15 gold.
15 gold?
15 gold, yeah, come on. Like, if they were, I could get 50 for them, like, if I really pushed it. Some bastard would send them off to the mines, he'd work them for a couple of weeks, they'd die, he'd get some more. Come on, 15.
I want to sort of
I just want to get them off my hands.
No.
I don't want them to infect the rest of them.
For the two?
20 for the two.
I'll just nudge Malice and just sort of be like, well, how much do you really care for these slaves? Because we can give them a very quick death in the form of tombs. We're not going to use them ourselves. Someone else, like you said, someone else is going to buy them. Do you really care for these people?
Do you want me to have this argument with you right here?
Argument? I mean, I'm just asking. Like, should I pay for
Have
the
you been a
slave?
slave before?
Oh yeah. Shit. Yeah, I'm back. I'm not even going to touch this one then.
You're just like, ooh, sorry, sorry. Just like backing away.
Why do we need them?
We take them so that we give them a swift death. Or they can run themselves into the ground digging...
You can do whatever you want with them, my lady. You can do whatever you want with them. I don't know what the drow normally do, but...
I'm not talking to you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
This is why I was asking. We can save them.
Yes, it's a swift
Sort
death.
of.
They kind of like, the two slaves let out heavy wheeze. They're like coughing and racking up. You can see like...
I can save one.
Blech, coming out of
How
them.
about that?
Well, if you can save one, then let's take one.
And we say there is leverage on tombs. Right. 20 for them both.
20 for them both, my good man.
We're not feeding someone.
He like takes the 20 gold, gives you a key. He unlocks their shackles, locks them up to like a rope chain, hands it to you. Like they barely manages like to kind of stand up, and they just kind of follow.
What a worthy purchase. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Excellent. He like takes the gold.
I'm gonna go to a quiet alleyway with them both.
Okay. He like gives
Wink.
you kind of gives you a wink, like because he thinks that you're gonna kill him.
I'll power along as well.
He's like, whatever your dark hearts desire, my lord. And he kind of gestures you off, and then he heads off back to his little store. They follow you. You basically hear the dwarf kind of wheeze like, please make it swift.
Unfortunately for you both, I follow the god of Tempest. That is not a noble and, should we say, a giving god. I'm not like these other paladins that try and save everybody because it's futile.
Whatever you wish, my lord.
Can I look at the girl?
She's just being quiet. Like you can see, it's hard for them to kind of walk. Like they're just so weak and physically
One's
ill.
really old.
The dwarf is he's probably about it's hard to tell with a dwarf, but quite thick, big muscles, but you can see they're wasting. Like a lot of them, he's lost a lot of the strength in his body. The woman's maybe mid-20s.
Do you know each other?
He just shakes his head.
Which one of you is worthy to live?
What is your plan with these two?
I save one,
And what do you do with them?
when we keep them.
If we keep them, it stops them from being abused by someone else.
They act as our slave.
We then look like we fit in because we have slaves of our own, even if we don't treat them as such.
The woman actually points to the dwarf, and you can hear her kind of just wheeze like, "He'll be stronger." And the dwarf is just like, "No, sir."
Cut the crap. Both of your lives are on the line.
Yeah.
It's just like, I would rather go to the forefathers with Moradin.
And he kind of like,
Do you feel your time is now?
Yes, I'm ready to die in this God-cursed place.
and it's just like,
No, let me die.
you can just hear them quite.
This is
They're
more-
both super ill.
Okay.
I mean, we're definitely sending one of them.
Let's put the offer on the table.
Eeny.
Flip a coin. What would Tempest do? Which one would you think Tempest would want you to keep?
I'm going to put my hand on the shoulder of the dwarf,
Okay.
and I'm going to cast Lesser Restoration on him, which cures a disease or a
Yes.
condition.
Just as a reminder, lay on hands can also remove diseases, right?
Does it?
Yes.
For 5 points, is it?
Yes, for 5 points.
I will do that.
Which means you could do it on,
You could do it on both of them.
because you could do it. It's up to you. That's a lot of hit points to spend, but I'm just going to check. I'm almost certain it
I
cures
think you're right.
diseases.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right. I've got it here.
Yep. Target of one disease or neutralize one poison affecting it.
I know I can. You guys don't know that.
You can cure multiple diseases and neutralize multiple poisons with a single use of lay on hands, expending hit points separately for each one.
Girl, if I were to
Just
cure you of
raises.
your illness and make you as strong as you once were,
Yes,
what use would you have as my slave?
I can cook, I can fix clothes,
Can you fix this armor?
I can speak. She looks at the armor. I can learn.
I don't have time to learn. I'm dying myself.
I can look after you. And she just like nods. I know a little of medicine. My mother taught me once.
At this point,
Okay.
I would like to slit both their throats.
You just walk up. Well, considering that Taryn is right next to them, you would probably be able to come up and you probably wouldn't. You'd have probably enough time to grab one, kill one. Which one do you go for? And then Taryn is gonna know what you're doing.
Go.
If you're going to do that, then I'm going to be very, very, very angry about it.
Well, sounds like that's what Kim's doing. So Worthless kind of walks up behind. I will tell you what. You can give me a perception check to see.
Can
if
I
you
see
this
if I
kind of
see
coming.
what she's doing?
I mean, you are all together, so yes.
15.
I'd also like to do this.
Okay.
21.
So we're meant to be anti-heroes here.
Well, I mean, so
Slaves.
you can see Worthless stepping up. I mean, the other thing, when you say slit their throats, I'm guessing you have a dagger or something like that, because if you've got a spear, you wouldn't be able to slit their throat with a spear. You'd have to basically impale. You'd have to basically just kill them normally. Slit throats would require like a blade or something like that to just...
Do that.
So you just, with the spear, you basically see... Because you notice Worthless moving up and getting her spear ready, moving up behind
Can I
one
try
of
and
them.
stop her?
Well, how do you want to stop her?
I want to try and grab the spear behind and pull it back.
Okay, so strength check from you. Strength check from you.
No.
12.
Okay.
My perception is 15.
Perception, yeah, I mean, you see Worthless looming up behind. You watch as Malice goes to grab the butt of the spear, as Worthless, like kind of slow motion, you see the spear kind of, her arm moving as if to strike the woman in the back with the spear, aiming for her chest.
I will go to defend the dwarf, I think.
So you like move in front of the dwarf, basically.
Because I know she's going to stab the girl. It's either me or her that gets stabbed, and I'm not going to do.
Okay,
I'm not
so you
gonna get
basically
stabbed on her
you
behalf.
put like an arm in front of the dwarf, push him back.
Yeah.
You lay on hands him because you were
Yes.
reaching for both of them.
So 5 points.
So 5 points you spend
Curing him.
I'm not going to be mean and say you did it on the girl and wasted those 5 hit points as well, because I think you can kind of see Worthless coming in and you're like, fuck. So you kind of sense the magic of Tempest flow out, invigorate this dwarf, the disease is purged, he kind of gasps and stands back. His muscles don't immediately like pop back to health, but you can see the colour come back in his skin. He kind of like coughs up one last phlegm, and then he kind of like, his eyes go wide, they're bright and coloured. He's cleansed of the thing.
Damn it! What are you doing?
Worthless, the spear just through the chest of the woman. She kind of, and then you pull it out and she flops back down. You feel like Malice, like the spear is wrenched from your hands as she tries to thrust it forward.
I sword.
Why
King
would
out
you
and
do
point it
that?
at-
I'm gonna catch the woman as she falls and kind of just respectfully put her on the ground.
Just kind of catch her and then lower her down.
And I'm just gonna kind of like.
That's
as
no
I'm
better than what
starting
happened
wrap
to
her
me.
up, there is too much trauma in her eyes. Grief, grief, grief. That girl would never have lived again, even
She
if
might
you repair
have.
the body. No, you saw her. You saw
I
her.
lived again. I'm still here. You just did what happened to me to her.
You don't have me in you. I looked in her eyes. She had me in her.
That was wrong.
It was a
It
Regardless
was
of
wrong.
It was
right
a
and
merciful
wrong,
death.
Can I
Malice.
have 10 gold, please?
Malice.
No,
Look at me.
no.
Just once.
I'm gonna walk away from
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing because they're too having a serious
Going
thing.
as mad as me was not a life.
I'm walking away from her, so I can't hear.
Malice walks away. She just turns her back on you and just leaves.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Leaving
keep
the three
like
of
kind
you.
of preparing, like kind of wrapping her up.
What'd you wrap her up in? Because you don't have
I'm
anything.
gonna tear off a bit of my robe, like the bottom of my robe, and just sort of like try and make a look.
You can like cover her face and like maybe like wrap her, like put her arms together and or like cover up the wound. But I mean, yeah, you're in an alleyway. People have seen what you've done. Nobody. Just, they look. They carry on their business.
You owe me for that.
I'm just gonna spit at his feet and walk off.
Dwarf, your name?
He looks at you and he kind of looks. There's a coldness in his eye when he looks at Worthless, like, you were going to save that girl, correct?
I was just going to try to. She had some use.
For a life of servitude and trauma.
You don't know that.
He looks
You know
at
what I
you.
had planned?
He's like, my name is Ulrich, my lord.
Ulrich,
He bows his head. What do you need of me?
you'll stay close,
Of course.
and that is it for now.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
You are not Thayan, correct?
No.
Where do you come from?
You don't need to know that.
Of course, my lord. And he bows his head.
You answer to me and me alone.
Of course.
I travel in a group. You don't answer to her. You don't answer to a deep gnome. You don't answer to a drow.
Right next to you.
Yeah, Torshank is next to you, but he
You
just
don't answer to a deep gnome.
yeah. You point at the deep. You say a deep gnome and point at him. He just bows his head. You
I-
are my master.
I'm your master,
He bows his head.
and you follow me,
He bows his head.
and you'll be treated well. Far better than your previous.
Thank you, my lord.
Now follow.
I will not forget what you have done. He kind of bows his head. He has like his hands chained with this chain which you have that you can carry him with. His feet have the manacles, but they're not shackled together.
You'll keep those on for effect, if you don't mind.
Of course, my lord.
Looks
Whatever
better
you
for us.
require. He bows his head.
What do you know of the lay of the land?
I know some, my lord. I was mainly used in the mines far to the north, but I've been in the city for a few weeks.
We are heading to the foreign trade guild?
He nods his head. I have heard some of the slaves speak of this. I have heard the merchants speak of it in passing. I know that much business is done there, but they are exempt from many rules of the city.
Exempt.
He says the other merchants complain of being stolen from. The guards take what they wish, but also their goods go missing in the night. Members of the guild are said to be immune to this.
I'm gonna look at his hands.
He holds them up for you.
Pudgy and
No, they're
Callous.
they're calloused. This is a miner. This is a dwarf who mined. Big, firm,
not sleight of hand kind of man.
He's lost his some of his musculature from this disease, but it looked like he was once pretty buff. Had strong calloused hands. He's probably middle-aged for a dwarf. You can see streaks of grey in his beard. He has long hair, like all the other slaves. His arms are very hairy. He's got a thick mane, which is kept clean, and a thick beard, but it's no braiding, no ornateness to it. It's just this big, wide beard.
Does he look particularly strong for a dwarf, or is he quite weakened from being a
I mean, dwarves. He's weakened from this disease, but if he was if he was nourished and he could eat well and things like that, you suspect he's stronger than your average dwarf, maybe. He's got some heft to him.
That's why I appreciate him, and I picked him.
Yeah. No, it's you picked who would serve Tempest best.
For sure. All right. We're walking there now. Follow me.
He bows his head. He keeps a wary eye on Worthless, who's
I'm not
tending
there.
to the body. Oh, did you head off already?
I've
Are you
tended to
carrying
the body.
Or are you just leaving the body?
Yeah, just leaving the body.
Okay, and you just head off.
Yeah. I am following Malice
Okay.
at distance.
Where are you going,
I'm
Malice?
in an alleyway in the shadows.
So you just head off, and then you want to stealth. Give me a stealth check. Perception check.
5.
And
So if it's 5,
15.
yeah, you can't find her. You try and search these streets. You're walking up and
I'm
down.
keeping an eye out because I know which direction they're going in.
Yeah, you I would say that you knew which way they're going into. You've moved off, headed up, and then you've ducked. Maybe not into an alley necessarily, but maybe you've hidden behind a few shop fronts. You've turned your back and you're kind of watching, out the side of your eye. You don't spot her in this crowd. I mean, these slums are full of people. It's these narrow streets with ramshackle buildings on either side everywhere, and you just can't find her. It's so full of people. Traders coming and going, slaves everywhere. You're trying to keep an eye out for her dusky skin. You just can't see it. You just nowhere. She's vanished.
On the walk, I'm basically asking Ulrich now and again, kind of whispering, as if I'm looking ahead, but I'm whispering, asking questions. If I ever step out of line or look too foreign, you tell me how to look correct.
If he says, may I speak honestly, sir?
You may.
You will never not look like the Thayans. You are clearly foreign,
Right.
but that is also to your strength. They are suspicious of foreigners. That is, they are wary. They do not know how you will react. That could be a useful trait. Some of my previous masters used it. They would use fits of anger or of calm demeanor to unsettle them.
Right. Useful.
Ulrich.
No, bows his head.
I guess I'm walking with
Yeah.
him.
You're working with him.
Yeah. What about me? Do I look like I fit in well then?
The dwarf looks at you.
You can speak to him freely.
He bows his head.
You are as foreign as my master. You are strange to this land.
Suppose there's no deep rooms here.
I have seen many of your height, but none of your skin or texture. This rocky appearance.
That's annoying.
I'm
Alright.
sorry.
And he bows his head.
Oh, no problem. I like this guy.
Don't talk to him, he's my slave.
Fine.
And I hit him on the back way too hard.
Who?
Uh,
I was like, did you hit Ulrich? No, okay, he hits on. You're bam!
That's me joking.
Okay.
I stumble.
It's
I pretty much fall over.
You kind of stumble a little bit.
Yeah.
The dwarf doesn't help you. He does what he says.
We wish to unsettle, as you say, and make a name for ourselves, Ulrich. However, we also wish to not draw too much attention to ourselves. If we are breaking any laws,
I will instruct you.
discreetly.
Of course. If I may offer my advice, if the autarchs, the nobility, or the red wizards speak to you, you must treat them as superiors. but you may show some backbone. They do not like to be... They appreciate strength, but you must respect them.
Right. Thank you.
That's his
Taran,
head.
may I speak to your slave?
Yes. You're not a slave.
Who have you served in the past, Auric?
I have had 3 previous masters. One was a man who sent me to work the gold mines near the volcano, far to the north. I did not know him much. I spoke mostly with the foreman, who instructed us of our daily works, provided us our meals. Then I was bought by a man who wished to have me furnish his armor, a knight, one of the Thean elite. He had me function his armor, clean it, repair it, but then I fell ill, and he sold me to the man that you purchased from.
Useful skills.
What do you think of my armor?
It is excellent work, sir.
You may have to repair it.
Of course.
Clean it now and again.
Of course, it is the pride of dwarves to work on such armor.
I thought you might enjoy that.
Like I said.
I'm walking down the main street.
Okay. So you guys are making your way.
Beelining.
What
I
two of you
am
do?
walking, but behind.
You're doing that kind of like
Yeah, I'm
moving
following
with the
them,
crowds.
but I'm not.
So you kind of let them pass, and then you
And
kind
then
of
I
start
come out.
following. Okay.
Like, I'm not hiding from them as such. I just want to be on my own. And I'm also keeping an eye on how he's talking to the dwarf.
Okay. Yeah, so you're kind of watching this. You're staying close enough that you can overhear some of the exchange. When he whispers, you probably can't hear all of that, but when there's a more open conversation, you can hear it easily. You're following behind. Neither of you two spot them. Your passive perceptions aren't high enough to just realise you're being
11.
followed. Yeah, and I think yours is about the same, right?
12.
What's your 12? So yeah, with a 15, you don't spot Malice basically stalking you through the streets. Worthless, you continue wandering around, and you still haven't found any sign of Malice. What would you like to do?
Any undead are probably still sleeping now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's still the day. I mean, you've barely hit sort of like mid to late morning.
I don't know what she'd do about now. She'd probably just go off on her own and do something. She doesn't like this place,
No, it's not a nice place.
and she feels like it's not going to help her find her child.
Well, at the end of the day, you do know that if you do what these harpers have asked, they have said they will help you. And you've not had any luck on your own so far. You could always try and speak to the vampire. You want to speak to them?
Yeah, I just don't really like Taran.
I'm a lovable guy.
Especially because he's bought himself a slave now.
Well, sounds like you've all got your own little issues going on. Lots of party conflicts.
I think
And
I'll
that's
go,
for y'all to deal with.
I'll go look for the vampire.
Okay.
Can I sort of head towards the central citadel?
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to come across is one of the inner city checkpoints. Like the one that kind of first entered the city, this wall is much higher. You can see that on the battlements above, it's far more well defended. There are guards, mainly archers, longbows, heavy crossbows, patrolling up and down, but you can see that there are men and women in breastplates and shields, swords, spears, that sort of thing. Long spears generally look like they might be, if anybody was trying to assail it with ladders, they could easily strike down. The gates themselves, there are no gnolls guarding this one, but there are also, you notice that there is a significant difference in that the men guarding it don't wear just breastplates and leather, they're in full plate armor. It's dark iron, kind of tinted black, with spiked shoulders. They each carry, long blades with tower shields, and there is normally about 2 or 3 of them, but then accompanying them is a single robed figure, wearing crimson, blood-red robes, completely shaved head with tattoos all around the crown. At first, you're not sure if it's a man or a woman because the robes completely engulf their figure, but as you get closer, you do notice softer kind of features around the face, maybe indicating that this may be a female wizard. And she seems to be the one in charge. I mean, she is inspecting people that come in, she asks them questions, the guards are basically there to kind of stop people and keep an eye out effectively. And you can see that many people don't enter the inner city. The ones that do are richly dressed, They are often Thayans themselves, so either have bald heads, or they have like just a single ponytail with everything else shaved. There are very wealthy-looking merchants, foreigners, but they look to be well dressed, lots of money, bringing in wagons, maybe with their own slaves all around them and things like that. Or they are military personnel. They are people like armored knights or city watchmen and things like that. Everyone that approaches, the wizard stops, asks a few questions, speaks to them, and then they send them on their way into the city. Very few people are refused. Many people don't seem to try to get in. So yeah, you approach up to the thing. The guards kind of step forward, place out an armored hand, and this woman looks at you with a kind of look of curiosity, but also a little bit of malice. She looks you up from like the bottom of your feet all the way up to your head, and Worthless is kind of very dressed shabbily. She doesn't look after herself,
so she had
right?
like a white robe that's kind of
And
now a bit
and she's
tattered
unclean,
and,
right?
Yeah.
She kind of sneers, and there's kind of almost a look of repulsion, and she's like, "What do you want?
I'd like to go in, dearie.
And what is your business in the inner city?"
Twofold. Looking for my child. And also looking for a vampire.
I'm afraid. She kind of smirks, and is just like, "I can assure you your child will not be inside the inner city. We do not let urchins in. And as regards to vampires, there are a few of the intelligent undead working for Her Eminence. However, they will not have time to meet with you. On your way."
What makes you think that?
"I know," and she just looks, she's very dismissive of you, just your general appearance. She's just like, "Be gone. We will not be permitting you into the city. Stick to the outer rim where your kind belongs."
I'm not going to move.
She just looks at you for a moment. "If you do not move, I will be forced to move you."
I'm going to kind of like... So before I've kind of doing my old crone routine, but just kind of stand up straighter and, you know... I'm just going to be like, "I have very valuable information for General Matthias."
"Then you can tell me."
How do I trust you?
She looks. "You do not appear to be Thayan, and as you are not manacled, you are not a slave. So I will provide you this one warning. I am a red wizard of Thay. My word is law in this place. It is not a case of whether you trust me, it is whether I allow you to trust me. I am law here. If you have information, you will tell me, or I shall have you arrested and enslaved."
Will you pass the information to General Matthias?
"If it is deemed worthy enough, yes."
What do you know of curses?
"Considerable amounts. Speak plain now." And she gestures, and the guards kind of block off so nobody else can kind of approach you while she's talking.
And I say, "Can we go somewhere a bit more private?"
She looks around. "You may tell me here."
You trust these men?
"Yes, they are under my command." "Enough of these games, old woman. Tell me now, or I shall arrest you."
There is a death curse.
"Indeed. And?"
I've come looking for more information.
"So you have no information to provide?"
I didn't say that.
"Then tell me what you have come to provide."
Evidence.
"Of?"
The death curse.
"We are very much aware of this curse. Evidence is not required. If that is all you have to offer, then we are done."
We have a solution.
"By all means, tell me." She just looks at you, waiting for an answer.
We need to share information.
She just waves her hand, and you feel pairs of strong arms try and grip you. "We're done. You've had your warning. You have nothing to offer." And the guards attempt to grab you and throw you back out into the outer city. Do you want to try and resist?
Yes. No, not resist. I will go along with it.
Okay. So they basically grab an arm, they drag you back, and just push you out into the outer city. The woman just kind of glares at you, and then just waves her hand, and the guards move up, and she just turns away from you dismissively. three of you making your way through the outer city, you make your way to a sectioned off section. You know it's not part of the inner city because there's no real guards. There's a few men watching the kind of gateway in and out, and there are heavy doors that can be shut and closed. But generally, it seems to just be leading into a large collection of warehouses, docks. You can see that there are ships which are kind of embarked at these kind of private-looking docks, and there are well-dressed men and women. Some of them look like slaves. They've got the long hair and the long beards, but they're kind of kept a bit more better presented. Nicer tunics. They actually have shoes and sandals and things like that, and they're helping carry cargo to and from these warehouses. But there is a large kind of administration building, this beautiful kind of stone made from dark carved stone with a domed ceiling, which is sectioned off. And there's a lot of kind of, you can see guards, but they look more like hired mercenaries. They're kind of wearing banded mail, chain mail. They've got various different weapons. There's no uniform to them, and they kind of are just patrolling around. And yeah, it just generally seems quite open, but it is oddly fortified. You reckon that if they wanted to, they could probably bar the doors and could repel people if they wanted to.
Tall.
Yes.
Ulrich,
My lord.
you will pretend to be Toll's slave for this encounter
Whatever you require.
until I say otherwise.
Of course.
Toll, you need to act like the best thief of all time.
And get into this place.
Get into this place. You have a slave too?
I mean, they won't know who I am, for starters.
No. So you have an uphill
I'm going to
climb.
walk up to them.
And also, I
One
suppose,
thing I'm going to ask, can you keep an eye on the time? My timer has died. So just let me know.
I suppose at the same time, I get you in with me too.
So as you're saying that, you just sense that there is a figure standing behind you, and when you look, it is Malice. Like, just kind of stood behind you, this drow woman looking down.
You and you, I need to get into this place as well.
I will act as your personal guard.
And you, Malice?
Do I need to act as anything? We're all foreigners at the foreign trade.
That's fair. So how many people are at the gate?
There's like maybe four men, but they're not really like guarding it. They're like keeping an eye out. You've kind of seen this thing before. Generally, guilds and gangs, they'll have like armed guards that are really just there to make sure that their rivals don't come in. Like, they don't care if other people come and go. They're more to be like, okay, there's a guy we need, or that's somebody we need to let the boss know is coming.
My plan is to play you up, make you seem more powerful than you actually are.
We need work in the city. We need jobs.
Yes.
We need to prove ourselves.
Yes.
We are skilled in combat. We approach them as such. We are assassins, mercenaries, strong people,
Fine.
a thief who
Well-
has better connections.
We either go in as three individually skilled people, or we build his character.
I say we're a
Listen,
group.
worst
We're a
case
team.
scenario, getting through this gate, if they turn on us, we'll prove we're able fighters.
Fair.
I don't think they'll turn on us.
In that
Act
case,
strong and they will.
just follow my lead.
To a
Okay.
point, Tom. To a point.
Okay.
And we're just going to walk
Straight to the admin building.
straight to the... Yeah.
Or do you want to go to somewhere else? Like, you can see there's these warehouses, there's buildings, but they look more like storehouses or maybe like smaller offices. Where do you want to head?
Straight to the Ebony building, and for every sort of mercenary guard we walk past, we just pay them no mind. Don't
Yeah.
even like look at
You just
them.
don't even look at them, you just carry on.
Yeah.
Okay. You get pretty much as far as the entrance to the admin building before anybody stops you. Like, just nobody seems to bat an eyelid. You see traders coming and going out of the main gates. You see them going up, speaking to ship captains. You see them speaking to some of the cargo workers, and then they just head back out into the city. When you approach the admin building, you can see there's a few guards around, but there's also a young man. He's wearing almost like scholarly robes, and he's got a ledger, and he's just going around. He's talking to a few people. He's like, "Oh, sorry, how can I help?"
Greetings, we require entrance into this building here.
Oh, do you have business with the guild?
Oh, we do, actually. We're trying to... Well, we've all got very individual skills that we would like to offer.
I'm
to
sure you
all.
do. You look like a very skilled group.
Thank you very much.
Who are you here? Are you here to see anybody in particular?
We do have someone who's been recommended to us.
Of course, I'd love to hear it.
Fina Talus.
Athena, Lady Talus, of course, yes. And he makes some notes in the ledger, and he's just like, and could I just inquire? Is it what matters is it pertaining to in particular?
None yet, but we're hoping to help out as such.
Could I put you down as potentially looking for contract work, contractors perhaps?
Contract work.
Excellent.
Of course, yes. May I take your names?
Malice.
Malice, of course. He writes down a lot more than the name Malice. He writes considerably more, and he's like, and you, my good man?
My name is Ulrich.
Ulrich, excellent. Just Ulrich?
Just Ulrich.
Very well.
Ulrich, actually, so we just condense it down to one.
He like smiles and nods, writes down quite a lot more information, and your rather imposing looking friend here.
He is not my keeper. I am Bast.
Bast, excellent. Do you have any icons of Tempest on you? Things like a holy symbol? Like, do you
Not
wear
on
like,
show.
Not on show, but you have it underneath. Your armor
Yeah.
doesn't have any inscriptions or anything like
I've
that.
got like a necklace
But it's underneath the armor.
underneath.
Okay. He kind of like looks you over, writes a few things down. He's like, excellent. If you just come in, and he points to, there's actually, just inside, there is almost like a lobby where they have like chairs and like tables and things like that. No food, but a jug of water with some glasses. If you just take a seat, I'll just inform Milady Talus that you'd like to speak with her.
Does he just ignore the
He
slaves?
ignores him. He just doesn't even look at him.
Okay, just while he's sort of, as he's heading off,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna like point to the dwarf and say, York, fetch me a drink.
Of course, my lord. And he heads in and he
Can
starts
I-
pouring a drink.
Insight check the guy who was, just to see if he
course,
had any negative
absolutely.
sort of
Yep.
vibes from us. Natural 20.
Natural 20. You get the sense, it wasn't necessarily negative vibes, but first of all, you suspect that he had a very good read of each of you individually. Kind of, he was making, like, he kind of had a very clear, like, read,
Body language.
made some notes and things like that. You suspect that he is a little bit suspicious, that 3 unique individuals have just turned up without any kind of prior understanding, but you don't think it's necessarily negative, and there is almost a kind of hint of like, you got the impression that maybe he thinks you could be useful. He kind of was a bit impressed by like, Taryn is this imposing looking figure, you carry yourself with quite a lot of dignity, this guy's obviously got a gift of the gab, and so he's kind of like, he's made some notes and he heads off.
Is there any way I can tell, like with sleight of hand or anything like that? I know I'm quite low down. Wait, who was he? Was he?
He's human.
Okay.
He's a
I guess
human
I'm
guy.
quite low down, so I might not be able to tell from his actual writing. Is there any way I can tell what he wrote down just from seeing his hand movements or something?
Ooh, I would say, yeah, why don't you give me a roll d20, add your proficiency and add your intelligence.
Oh dear.
Okay, that's like 6.
No. You're kind of trying to read it, but like the angle's a bit wrong, and he's covering a lot of it up with the ledger.
Yeah.
So you're kind of only just seeing a bit of his hand movements. It's really hard to see.
Fine.
But he definitely wrote a lot more than just your names. It was like you get the impression that he wrote name and then notes about you.
That's fine.
He goes away, and you are left there for about 10 minutes or so while water is brought out if you need more, but generally you're left there. Worthless. What do you want to do after being thrown out?
I don't know, I'm a bit lost to be honest.
You're kind of on your own at this point as well.
Yeah, I think she would regress a little to crazy
Okay.
town. However, she would probably try and look for Weston the Necromancer.
Okay.
That was mentioned earlier by Tombs.
Without being able to get necessarily into the inner city, you can patrol some of the kind of watch posts. They have like watch posts throughout the outer city where the guards are stationed. You can start searching around those. You go around asking a few questions and things like that, and you'll probably encounter some problems at one of them later on. After a few moments, about 10 minutes or so, the scholar, the kind of scholarly-looking fellow with the ledger comes out, and he's just like, good news, Mistress Talus has actually freed up some space. She was a bit busy today, but she's made some space for you. If you'd like to follow me, have a conversation.
A lovely woman.
Follow me?
Of course.
He leads you deeper into the building, and you kind of, Taryn, you especially get the sense that this guy is leading you down corridors where if you had to fight your way out, it would be a bit harder because like a lot of them are narrow, and there's a lot of like long corridors. Like the kind of soldier training in you is like, okay, yeah, if we had to fight our way out of here, this is getting harder and harder.
My divine sense, any undead
You can. 60 feet?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's Fae, Fiends, Celestials.
Undead, consecrated, or desecrated.
Okay. You don't sense any undead, but there is a trace of Fae magic. You get a sense of, and it's coming from the room that you're about to head into.
Fey magic.
The person we're
Not
following-
quite like the presence of a Fae being, but like a little taste of it, a little twinge of Fae magic.
The person we're following, does he have anything strapped to his belt?
He doesn't actually, no. He's just wearing sort of like a loose tunic and pants. He has just this ledger which has got like a quill pot and a thing built into like this kind of almost like a clipboard that he's got that resting on, and he's just carrying that around with him.
That's fine.
Can I look at Ulrich and see if what his clothes are like? Can he hide a small weapon?
Not really. It's like a loose tunic. Like, it'd be very difficult for him to
Looking
hide
at-
something. I mean, you guys still have your weapons. Like, nobody's taking your weapons off you.
And I'm guessing this corridor's really quiet and echoey right now,
Yeah.
so saying anything would be...
It's more, you notice that your footsteps carry.
Yeah.
Like, somebody who is in a build, like a
whisper
room
it.
that you're about to go in, for example, would clearly know you're coming.
Right,
Could
fine.
I give him brass knuckles?
You can try. Do you want to try and sneakily give it to him?
Wait, does it look like the space where he could hide that sort of thing?
I mean, he doesn't have pockets, he doesn't have a belt, he doesn't really... He's got, like, loose, short trousers,
Yeah.
and then an oversized tunic. He doesn't have a belt. It's like a loose shirt and tunic. That's
Fair
it.
enough. That's fine.
It's not really... And if you give him other clothing, you could definitely find clothing that he could hide stuff in, but, yeah.
So it says on here that I have dark common clothes plus hood, as well as Duke Zalaire's magnificent cloak.
Uh-huh.
Do I have both, or is my clothes plus hood?
Yeah, you can... Oh, it's clothes plus a hood. A cape is not necessarily a cloaked
Oh, I
thing.
see, okay.
Like, the magnificent cloak is like this bright mantle kind of cape, and then your hood is like part of your... I imagine it's part of your, like, your tunic.
And I suppose
like, dark work.
giving this guy my cloak now would be...
It'd be a bit weird
Yeah, okay, fine.
at this point. You're led into a small stone room, very well furnished, beautiful kind of wooden furniture, plush kind of cushions, that sort of thing. On the walls you can see paintings of ships. You actually see like some model ships in like glass bottles and things like that. And sat behind the desk is a half-elven woman, actually. You can see like just the tips of her ears. She has a half-shaved head with a kind of very similar to actually Tolshank's haircut. She does have a couple of tattoos, but they don't look Thayan. They actually have like almost like leaf images and things like that and plants kind of around it. And she's got quite a mean sneer due to a scar across her lip. It kind of pulls her mouth down into a bit of a sneer. And she looks up and she's just like, my unexpected visitors. Come in, sit down. Thank you, James. And the scholar just bows his head and heads out. She's like, so, a little bit interesting. Wasn't expecting some mercenaries to drop by unannounced.
Thank you for clearing some space in your schedule for us. Very appreciated.
Well, you know, my people were quite... you have the look about you of people that might like to get things done. And we're always looking for individuals, enterprising individuals here in the Guild of Foreign Trade. Is it your first time in Thay?
Indeed, but we've already learned quite a bit about this city, and as you say, we would like to work with people such as yourself.
Well, excellent news. We do get quite a few, shall we say it, freelance individuals making our way through the city, but many of them are often less than responsible or trustworthy. So, what exactly is it that you would like from me?
We require just a few little contracts, something to pass the time, to be honest.
Just looking for work.
Looking for work, gold, anything.
Interesting.
High risk, you know, the
Interesting.
wealthier the payer, the better for us, to be honest.
Looking to
Interesting.
meet people in the city.
You know, it's a difficult thing to do here. Very difficult thing to do, but you've come to the right place. The Guild always has work for the enterprising individual. Well, there's a few things that we're having some troubles with that perhaps some skilled individuals like yourselves could offer and help take care of. There is payment involved in certain aspects. And obviously doing these kind of things will certainly get you the right sort of attention if that's what you're looking for. So tell me a little bit about yourselves. I assume by your armoured friend, you're some sort of combatant, a fighter or some such?
Yes.
Excellent. And what about yourselves? Any special skills I should be aware of? None of you are any of you magicians? Wizards? Sorcerers? Oh, that's a shame. She kind of flicks through some leaves of paper. And she's like, well, there's a couple of things. Depending on what kind of things you might like to investigate. The guild is having some trouble with some Sahorgan. You may have seen it on the way into the city. There is a large sunken area of the city. It was once part of the large docks in the inner city that during the Second Sundering fell into the ocean. A lot of buildings and warehouses were sunk alongside it. The Sahorgan, which roam around the Sea of Fallen Stars, have taken they found out that there's quite a lot of valuables still underwater that we've not yet recovered, and so they're attacking ships, they're coming into the city and getting into the sunken areas and causing all sorts of problems for our traders. There is currently a bounty available. We pay 25 golds for a Sahorgan head, but there is one in particular. The ship captains have started calling him Bone Spear. He rides a large shark and he's been attacking our fleets and ship vessels. If one were to dispatch of these Sahorgan, or simply collect a number of their heads as bounty, that would earn you some respect amongst the guild.
Would this leader happen to hold up some form of skull and make some incantations and try and cast a light spell?
No, but I have heard he travels with some, we believe they may be female of his species. He travels with perhaps one or two such-like individuals. No, but he is a powerful, muscular fellow, rides a shark larger than many of the other captains have seen, and has a large bone spear, hence the name.
Do you have anything that's actually challenging?
Challenging? Well, we need to put it this way. Consider this something of a test of mettle. We want to see how you deal with smaller problems, then we can work you up to the bigger things.
Of course, I understand. Please forgive my friends.
Not at all,
Harsh
not at all.
nature.
Clearly a seasoned warrior looking for a challenge, and we'll have work for you, don't you worry.
Of course, we've dealt with Sahorgan before. This is something we can easily...
Of course. Well, there are other things, of course, if that doesn't take your fancy. There is one thing. Now, I don't know if you know this. There is a law. We don't have many here in Thay, but there is a law. Magic items and weapons, generally, we don't trade those outside of the city. Even freelance and foreign traders like myself are very aware of this law. One group, shall we call them, they're little more than a gang of thieves, would you believe, have taken a cachet that was meant to be traded to the military, and they are, we suspect, attempting to sell it to outside influences. They call themselves the Canaan 12. We don't currently know their whereabouts, but we do know they are in the city. If one were to locate them and then inform the city watch, or take care of them yourselves and recover the shipment, well, that would certainly earn you some favours amongst the military and myself. There's also, the Red Wizards have put out a request to any freelancers in the city. They're running low on basilisk eyes. Now, if you head out into the Priador, if you travelled in by land, you would have seen it, the large fields out on the escarpments. They have these kind of reserves where creatures are allowed to just roam around and do as they please. Monsters, normally, ones that the wizards use their various innards and body parts for.
Fenced in areas.
Yes. If you made their way there, basilisk eyes are worth a considerable amount at the moment. A selection of those, 4 to 6, is easily worth perhaps 200 gold, and the Red Wizards are very keen to get their hands on those. You don't look the unsavoury sort. You wouldn't be interested in bodyguard work for you.
Boring.
Boring. Very well.
So, from the sounds of it,
Plenty of work, though. Plenty of work.
slay some Sahorgans, make friends with the merchants. We get some basilisk guys, we make friends with the Red Wizards.
Was your bodyguarding work for anyone particularly important?
It was for a young autarch, actually. You may not be familiar with the phrase. They're the nobility. Not especially powerful, but I've heard he might be a third cousin to the Tharkioness or some such. He's a bit of an odd one, I'm afraid. Has some interesting interests. He's looking for a bodyguard service. He attends for his weekly worship sessions at one of the temples. He thinks that he might need some bodyguard work. None of my men were particularly keen on the idea.
Slaves wouldn't do it for him.
I think that he is worried that warriors of caliber might be after him, and so he's seeking people that can defend him.
I imagine slaves wouldn't be the first to jump to his aid as well.
Indeed.
Very well, thank you for your time.
Well, if you complete any of these tasks and you're not sure who to speak to, receive payment, come and speak to me. And I will ensure that the right messages set up the chain, shall we say. Always looking for entrepreneurial people. Very good to have you in today. Good day. And as soon as she says good day, the door opens and there is a guard outside who gestures outside. Yep.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My pleasure, my lady. And she kind of gives you a wink and a nod.
We'll be back very soon.
As you're leaving the door, leaving the room, you hear frantic scribbling as she is writing something down.
Right.
And then you are gestured out.
Can I
and you're led away.
insight check to see how sort of if she was impressed by it? It's kind of like the guy before.
Insight check, yeah, absolutely.
20.
20. You get the impression that by appearance, impressed. However, she's waiting to see if you do anything, and then it's very much a case of like you suspect she may have had this conversation with people in the past and they've never returned. Some do, and so she's waiting to see which one you're going to be. But yeah, in terms of appearance, impressed to a certain degree.
Hopeful.
Worthless. You travel around some of these guard posts. Generally, you are either kind of treated with disrespect or kind of ignored. You ask questions and they kind of grunt answers and usher you away. You eventually come across one with no gnolls and just human guards in it. And when you mention the name Weston, one of them kind of looks at you oddly and he's just like, he's not here at the moment, old lady, but he works the night shift and he reports to this particular station. What do you want him for? He's not the type to... Yeah, what do you want him for?
Oh, I'm a friend of a friend. Just want to catch up, see how he's doing, make sure he's being looked after. You know, an old maid.
They kind of look at you a bit weirdly. And one of them...
I'm doing my, like, old lady.
They kind of... One of them walks over and he holds, like, a hand out in front of your mouth and then he, like, tries to, like, grip your arm. As soon as you do that, he, like, grabs your arm and he checks your pulse.
I was going to be like, oh, you should ask a lady before.
Oh, she's alive. Friends of Weston, and you're alive. All right. He kind of takes out a quill, makes a quick note to himself. I mean, I can let him... What's your name?
My name is Worthless.
They, like, look at each other. There's, like, a laugh, like a shared laugh. All right, Worthless. And they kind of write it down. Do you want to come back and find Weston, like, tonight?
Yes.
All right, his shift starts at 9. He's got to go pick up his little pets first, though, so he might be a bit later. They like look at it again. He's like, "You sure you mean Weston?"
Yes, undead.
Yeah.
Smells a bit.
All right, you clearly know Weston. Yeah, I mean, come back and see him tonight, Biddy. They kind of like look at you strangely. Right now, come on. Wait.
One thing, young man.
Go on.
What's his favourite snack? What does he like to eat best?
Well, if you listen to the boys, he likes eating hearts of the living, but I don't think so. I don't know, I've never seen him eat, actually. Just bring him, I don't know, an apple or something, I don't know. I don't know what he eats. I'm not his keeper, he works a different shift. He's a weird one. He walks around with undead.
Thank you, young man, and make sure you wrap up warm, it looks cold, and you eat some more as well.
Alright, and then like one of them comes up and they're like, alright, old lady, come on, like, who brought her in? You can hear them kind of saying like, it's weird, I would have thought she'd be a slave or something by now. I'm surprised she hasn't broken any laws. Like, they're just pretending that you can't hear them, or they just don't seem to think that you're listening to them properly, and they're just like, yeah,
because I'm a crazy old lady.
Yeah, and they're just like, alright, come on, they kind of usher you out the door, and like, go on, off you go.
Yeah, I'll just keep like, nagging them as I go out. Like,
they're just like, alright, yeah.
Teeth, dental care is very important.
Shuffle you out kind of thing and keep you going. Yeah, they just kind of shunt you out the door, basically. And at this point, it's probably about midday. How are we doing on time, by the way?
We're good.
Okay.
We've got 24 minutes.
24 minutes. So, at this point, you guys have all left the Guild of Foreign Trade. You are currently in the outer city being ushered out, and you know that you've got hours to kill before this Western will be
Is
around.
there any kind of, like, butchers or anything around?
Yeah, I mean, you can find, like... You're not going to find, like, a nice butcher's in the out market, but you can find, like, this kind of open stall with, like, a charcoal grill and a guy who's got, like, hung up, like, you're not quite sure what animals they might be. They could be dogs. They could be pigs. Yeah, it's just, like, stuff. but like racks of like hunky like looking ribs and things like that, and he's just kind of chopping them with like a dirty cleaver. It's kind of big burly butcher. You can see that out the back he's got a few of the slaves like working away at like cleaning up carcasses and things like that. Rats on stick, very common.
Rats on stick.
It's like the common people snack. It's like the hot dogs of Fae.
Lizard on a stick.
Yeah, lizard on a stick. This is rats on a stick. Sometimes you get like 2 rats on a stick.
Whoa.
That's just skimping on sticks.
Yeah. It's loads of rats, but sticks are the main commodity.
Yeah.
You're paying a copper for the stick. The rat's free.
Yeah. Dime a dozen.
I'm trying to decide whether or not. Should I tell you? I'm thinking, do I buy like an animal heart, as a kind of gift for this?
Because you've heard that he likes eating the hearts of the living. Okay.
Or do I just kill some random person and take their heart out?
There's already a
I don't
corpse.
know.
Yeah, you know where a corpse is.
Have some fucking respect.
You killed her.
I put her in misery.
You kill another
killed her.
person.
Murder hobos.
I put her out of her misery.
It's like I've created like a campaign where you're allowed to be crazy and a murder hobo. Like, and then now it's just like all the little dark heart, like the little like yeah, I'm gonna kill him. Yeah, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Yeah, I'm gonna buy a slave. Yeah.
He's been treated very well so far.
He has been treated. You've treated him better than
I've
some
cured his
people
disease.
will. You did cure his disease. That's the most thing. That's like the nicest thing you did.
Haven't let him have a wash though, have you?
He's already very well clean, I think.
He's cleanish.
he's all sweaty
not
and
He's not as
diseasey.
clean as some of them.
I've cleansed his disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's
he's
not like
been
you really
sweating
had a
from his
chance
disease.
to like let him have a bath though.
You slit someone's throat.
I haven't had.
She
Stab
was.
her through the chest.
She was
Stab her through the chest.
traumatized.
So anyway, players,
Right.
what would you like to do now?
I'm gonna reconvene with these 3
Yeah.
and say we can kill the Sahagin easy,
Well,
but it's a long.
Bear in mind that
we do
they
have a
hate
little bit of a
him.
problem with that, yeah. Remember the whole Sargon fight we had before? This cloak?
Oh, it means they'll kill him first before they
means-
try killing us.
We can draw it out easily. And
That's
we
true.
don't waste time.
I mean, we could get them very, very, very angry.
Yeah,
with
but
me, in
they will
particular.
ultimately die.
Oh, of course. I trust you'll do that.
It's just will they bring more people on board because of their extra hatred?
The point is, what do we gain from that? Just gold?
We would gain just a quest complete. We also gain the favour of the mercenaries and the ship captains.
If we,
Hierarchy-wise,
but
not great.
if we collected basilisk guys, that's direct to the wizards.
If we're
It's
going for hierarchy, the wizards
if we
are the ones to
bodyguard some Ponzi noble, that's Ponzi noble.
impress. So that's what I was going to say.
But he is a step on the ladder.
Yeah.
The nobles are pretty high up, and a bodyguard job, I hate to say it, and I mean no insult, that's perfect for you. Plus, whatever creepy habits he's into, I'm sure you wouldn't even bat an eyelid at it.
It would mean me going and doing this alone, so I assume full
Well,
payment.
not necessary. Like we.
The job
oh,
did. Because if I didn't give this clear enough information, that's my fault. It is not a one-person bodyguard
It's a-
job.
it's a
He wants a group
guards.
of guards.
Right,
And
All
by
the
all
guards.
means, you can take point on that job.
I will.
Depends what. Do I know anything about basilisks, just in general? What? How?
Y'all can give me Arcana or Nature checks.
While they're doing that,
No.
Yes.
would given my kind of knowledge of necromancy and undead,
Yes.
from what the guards said about Western,
Yes.
can I make an educated guess as to what kind of undead he is?
Weston isn't.
You got the impression that Weston is not undead.
He can-
He
Oh,
has
no, he's a
undead with
necromancer,
him.
isn't he? Yeah, he's
He is a
undead.
necromancer.
10.
10.
2.
10, 10. The 2 10s, there's the common stories of basilisks. If you look in their eyes, they turn into stone. Mm-hmm. That's about it.
A very pricey resource that the Red Wizards desire gives me the impression that these are very, very powerful monsters.
True.
Now, if I was to throw in the fourth choice, the Thieves' Cash for the military, that is right up my alley.
True.
What were the thieves gang called? It was the something 12.
Kynan 12.
Kainan.
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 Kynan 12. Or Canaan 12.
It's 12 of them.
Spelling.
Kainen. Kainen.
Yes! Right, got it right. Now, the Canaan 12. Canaan 12.
Canaan 12.
Straight away, 12 of them. Easy. They're in the city as well, so we never have to leave the city.
Sure.
1, 2, 3.
I mean, he counts for like 4. You, I don't really, I mean...
You saw it like with some fans, like doing something in the water?
If he's questioning my ability, I'm going to flick the fan out at him with the blades on it.
I'm sure you've got skills, but with all fairness, all I've seen you do is splash a bit of water.
You tried to hammer a piton into a shark's head and missed.
Listen, if that worked,
Twice.
it would have been fantastic.
I'm not even going to talk to you anymore.
I punched a shark's skull in.
Kill him.
You did see him punch a shark's skull in. You did see
But
that.
I did
Yeah,
just
you-
as much damage to sharks.
I didn't see the damage, I just saw the fan splashing with the water.
Sharks are not a glorious battle. It's trivial.
I
Either
think
way, you're right. The cash is a good in.
So it's either we impress them, like Sahagans.
it's the thieves or the bodyguarding.
Bodyguarding sounds boring.
We don't know who's after him, but it gets us an in with the nobility. If he's the third cousin, essentially, of this head, what's her face, Tharkioness, that could get us there.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like this guy has already gotten in with the military. They seem to respect him everywhere he goes.
Ulrich,
My lord.
have you ever made a decision in your life?
Not since I became ownership. Ownership of myself was transferred.
Have you heard
When I
of
was a
this?
younger man, of course.
Have you heard of this Thieves Guild?
Canaan.
I'm afraid I have not, my lord.
Have you heard of that guy that we're bodyguarding?
There are many autarchs in the city. The nobility are numerous. They all claim some sort of connection to the Tharkions or the Tharkionesses or the Zolkirs, the Red Wizards. I have not heard of a particular individual.
If you were sent with the option to do either job, which would you pick?
You ask a lot of me, my lord. I am but a humble servant.
I'm stretching your skill set.
Very well. It sounds to my ears that you would need to track down this guild, but you can easily find out who this noble is and do the work for him. It seems that is the easier course, but I do not know if its results will suit your needs, my master.
True, we could do that, and then thank you for your
If
your
I may
help.
also offer one more thing.
Make it very quickly. You
If-
are stepping out of bounds, Ulrich.
My apologies, my lord.
Excuse me.
My lord. He
You are loving
He
this.
bows his head deeply. If there are many basilisks out in the fields and upon the city, as a humble slave myself, I know that many wizards send their slaves there to collect them, and they are obviously killed by these creatures. If you were to limit their numbers, that would save more people like myself. And he bows his head deep.
Are you suggesting
Doing the honourable thing.
we kill the Red Wizards?
No.
Of course not, my lord.
Think
I would
of
tell him
the
how to such a... And he looks at you panicked. He's like, my lord, you shouldn't speak these words out in public.
It's fine, he's an idiot.
I think I misheard you.
We thin the herd of basilisks so more slaves don't die collecting eyes, is what he's trying to say.
Yes, my lord.
Sorry, I drank a lot last night.
Pickles, something like that. Crazy. We'll bodyguard them.
Good thing, because I was going to say, how will...
If we bodyguard, we might get more connections in the city who
Right.
may have heard of the Thieves Guild.
Yes, and hopefully by then Worthless will be dead.
I'm not sure how Matral will feel about us killing
Somewhere in an alleyway, Worthless goes.
the Thieves Guild as well. I'm
You're
not sure how the nobles will feel, particularly Matrial.
Well, Matriarch the Tharkioness, you know she controls the Guild of Foreign Trade. So if they want this guild found, this gang found, chances are they're
It's
kind of
come
an
from her.
enemy of like they're not playing by her rules.
Okay.
So yeah,
So does
all
that-
roads lead back to the Tharkiness.
You have many options. Well, either Tharkiness or the
Or
Red
Red
Wizards
Wizards.
or the military or something like that. There's many factions of which you may earn reputation with mini quests.
Reputation.
Come on, you gotta rank up your reps. You can't get your rewards if you don't get your reps up.
Fine.
We've got to do
Taryn,
something.
would you like to become a bodyguard?
We all
We
have
all
to.
have to.
Yeah, but come on.
He can look like the fancy one in the front, sure.
I'm gonna ask you this question. Are you gonna make any effort to go and find Worthless? Because I
Karen
need
is-
to know.
Karen is not.
I
Personally,
would
Malice is
they?
really angry at her for what she did because
Also-
basically she killed her in the same way that Malice was killed as a slave.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
she's
With a spear.
furious. She was stabbed through the heart.
chest. Literally stabbed through the chest.
She was stabbed
I
through the
think
heart,
she's
and she was a slave.
and she was a slave.
So it's like,
No, but I was trying to explain the logic
yeah.
behind
The problem
it,
is
but Malice
you're,
does not want to
the
listen.
logic is an emotion
Doesn't
is,
matter.
doesn't play
It's
out.
just
And-
that's how I died. I just saw it.
And you cost Taryn 10 gold, so he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Suck a dick.
Okay.
I'm just scared of you.
We played I Spy together now.
Yeah, we played I Spy, and then you killed someone in front of us. We had a plan for her. Plus, I don't like seeing wasted gold either.
Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna have to factor that in because obviously I'm gonna be running two split
Split
things.
party!
Yeah. Yeah.
Not ideal.
Also, I need to
fine.
remember that you pissed off Red Wizards.
I got a better idea.
No, I didn't. Just one.
Yeah, you pissed off one Red Wizard. That's enough.
How about he does the bodyguard, I do the thieves, you do the basilisk.
And we all die.
You,
Game over.
I can do the best of the guys. That'll be fun. I'll take Ulrich. He's stoned now. I can use him as a shield.
Oh my god. Stick a little hand on his back.
Okay.
I had a dwarven shield. That'd be amazing. I was like, Ulrich, do this. I use his arms as stabs.
Red wine.
Now look at it in its eye.
Thank you, Ulrich.
He's not gonna like look in a basilisk's eye if you tell him.
Yes, my lord.
Doesn't like you that much.
So, does Worthless have any plans apart from waiting to meet up with Weston?
Gonna catch some rats.
Just gonna catch some rats, make some rats on stick.
No, just to, feed the undead lady.
Doesn't have a stick. Those
Okay.
are rare.
Oh, to feed.
Come on.
Okay, you don't need to feed undead, but sure.
No,
I like the idea that she brings like a selection for his undeads.
I am also going to try and buy a present for Malice.
Okay, like what? What do you want to try and buy? There is out in the outer city. There is a lot of artisans, people that make jewelry and things like that. They don't work with gold. They work more with like bronze and copper, but they have like small, tiny precious stones, like the ones that you can find. But also lots of bone. Like bone is quite a big thing here. So like bone combs for the hair, like hair barrettes, necklaces with like very ornately carved, like beautifully carved, like narwhal kind of like people do on the tusk, like the ivory work and things like that, made from bones. You're not sure whose bones. Some of them look like they could be people bones. Some of them look like they could be animal bones or monster bones. But yeah, that's kind of the lower, the cheaper kind of artisan skill that a lot of people have as like a decorative item. Sculpture as well is another one. Clay and stone.
I imagine Worthless would, because she's still a bit mental, would buy something for a child, so something that's
Because
clearly
she sees
too
her as a
young.
younger one thing,
Yeah.
So either you'd probably be looking at things like toys, or things like hair barrettes and hair clips and stuff like that, combs, things like that. I'm trying to think of other things. Cloth, there is silks. There's not really silks on the outer city, but there are brightly coloured scarves and things like that. Tunics.
toy.
Because basically the slaves you've all seen wear the same sort of very plain colours, whereas all the Thayans and that wear brighter colours to signify their wealth. So people that want to try, especially merchants who want to look a bit more impressive, wear coloured scarves or coloured shirts. So what kind of thing would she probably be looking for?
Toy.
It's harder to find toys than anything else. You'll probably be thinking things you find maybe a small artisan who has other things, but has little spinning tops made from bone, has kind of figures animal figurines, but they're monsters. It's not oh, here's a giraffe and here's an elephant. It's oh look, there's the chimera, there's the wyvern, that kind of thing. So they tend to be monsters and things like that. So yeah, and like they're little kind of like little
monster
bone
set.
statues and things like that. They'd probably be kind of worth around sort of 10 silver pieces.
Worthless.
Basilisks, ankegs, a boulet.
Can I get like a little range? You know?
You can get so you can spend like there's like 30 silver, like which is 3 gold. You buy like these 3 little figures, so you get I don't know. Let's say you get an ankeg, a manticore. An ankeg is like a big insect.
Keg.
A manticore, and something simple like a direwolf. You buy these little 3 things, and they're carved. Like all the little structures and furs carved into the bone.
Cool.
Okay, you buy that.
You boy that.
The 3 of you head off. You were given the details of like this Autark in particular, retcon it. You got them from the guild, and you begin making your way to that.
What's his name again?
The Autark's name that you're going to go work on is called.
What is that?
It's a
Actually, write a name for him. Let's
Oh no!
Look at this. So big.
I know.
It is.
Your notes are amazing, by the way. This is all I've got so far. I didn't even name the series right. It's called Red Deckening.
I was wondering, when you wrote that yesterday, I was wondering if you did that purposely or if
I
you
did it
just did
purposely.
it.
Dolren.
Dolren.
Yeah. Dolren Malik.
Deckening.
Dolren.
Malik. Sorry.
The thing is, in my
Malik.
dyslexic brain, it took me a while to figure out that there was something wrong with that.
That's like.
I was like, there's something wrong with that, but I can't tell what.
What it is.
If you want an idea of what she's talking about, that is my note taking.
Nobody can see that.
Garbage.
It's literally like he uses a page and writes like 2
One thing.
things.
To be honest, that's
Next page.
That's very
Next
much like
page.
my note taking as well. Nice. Okay. So yeah, Dolren Malak. You actually have to enter into the inner city to find him. But as you now have this kind of almost like a work permit, basically like a document with the guild stamp of the Guild of Foreign Trade, which is almost like a bounty notice. It's like the Autark Dolren Malak, 3rd nephew of the great Tharkioness, seeks able bodies willing to work for gold in a service of bodyguarding against assault and murder.
Just holding it up.
You make your way up and you see the same thing. This is a slightly different gate where there is these 3 knights and you can see them in the black-clad plate and a robed wizard. This one is a male, clean-shaven head, but a very thin goatee that he wears just kind of around his face.
He wears it.
As in like,
Puts
he
it on
has
every
it.
morning.
You know what I mean.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I had a Mark Flab, okay? I've done nearly 10 hours of Dungeons and Dragons this weekend. I'm losing my mind. You make your way up and they kind of hold out their hands. The red wizard approaches like, what is your business within our city?
We have a permit.
May I see it? He takes it from you,
Out of interest,
examines it.
does the contract say like to be accepted by?
It doesn't, but it's the fact that you bear it and have the guild stamp on it is. He looks at it and he's like, very well, you may be permitted to visit the Autark's residence. And he bows his head and they step aside and they let you in.
Clank,
I
clank.
will nod at him. as I
Okay,
go.
he like looks at you. He doesn't nod back, but there is a kind of like, somebody has some manners, but he doesn't expect these two to like nod or anything like that, but it's recognised. You make your way in and the inner city could not be any different to the outer. There is patrols of guards, but no gnolls, no centaurs. It's all black plate or black breastplate guards, men and women walking around, ensuring that the streets are clean, pristine clean. There is not a drop of litter. There is not a speck of blood or dirt. It is cobblestoned and well kept. There are small gardens all around the buildings here. There are shop fronts with these extravagant designs, stained glass windows. You see families. You see Thayans, like bald of head with bald kids, like walking around, happily conversing, talking, making their way around. Not all of them are red wizards. They're not wearing red robes, but they've got these kind of rich clothes, dresses, that sort of thing, as they make their way around. You even see a few robed wizards like talking with each other, holding books. They look around a bit suspiciously, but they seem to be moving to and from places. And this place is a far stretch from what it once was. On your way to the Autarch's residency, which is on sort of like the far eastern side of the inner city, you pass through a couple of buildings. First, you see the grand central citadel kind of rising up, and now that you're inside the inner city, you can see that out its front it has parade grounds. It has these kind of elaborate like defenses, like smaller moats, guard positions, like almost fortifications, like little pillbox towers all around it. And it's very impressive. The soldiers, you notice this, are incredibly regimented. They march in formation, they they follow orders exactly. When they're told to turn right, it's and then they march on. There's a kind of their military here is very, very regimented and strict.
Wish I went here.
Yeah, and as you make your way around, you pass a few temples as well, like actual divine temples. Large cathedrals bearing the symbols of Bane, like the god of, I think he's like of conquest or murder or something like that. Tyranny, maybe.
Nastier ones.
Yeah. Cyric, the Lord of Lies, has an open church where people are just walking in and just, praising
Do you
Cyric.
know what? I was going to choose Cyric. I was between Cyric and Velsharoon as like her new face.
Cyric's like the Loki, like a really
Yeah.
evil Loki.
He didn't seem as evil as Velsharoon, so or undeady.
Yeah, he's not as undeady. Cyric is much more about lies and deception. Bane, it's like a symbol of a black hand, and you know him to be the Lord of Darkness, and he's generally a bad dude.
Does he have a mask on?
He does not know.
Burn.
You were born in the darkness.
Is there a Tempest Temple?
Is there a temple? No, I think that there, because Byzantia is known as the city of 1,000 temples, and whilst they don't have many temples to good gods, somebody like Tempest, who kind of borders the line, there is indeed a temple of Tempest. It's not as large as Bane's, it's not as large as some of the others,
How you use it?
but there is indeed a temple to Tempest, the Lord of Battle. You can see that it's less of a temple and more of a training grounds. Like a large open sort of sparring field, and many of the soldiers who seem to be off duty pop in. There is a large, it is a shrine out in the open practice field, which is kind of it's like an open air temple. And there is a large shrine, which is basically a large stone with swords and glaives and flails embedded into it, all different weapons and armor. And then a large shield is just melded into the front, bearing the kind of blazing sword of Tempest, which is his holy symbol.
I'm walking forward. I clock this, and I'm beelining for that.
So you just watch as Taryn just stops and heads over. Ulrich just follows you, like a
Drawing
shadow.
my sword.
Okay.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Why are
He
you
just
drawing your
walks
sword?
off. He,
What are
like,
you
walks
doing?
off. You see a few of the guards turn to you as you approach. There's a kind of look of.
I'm holding
Thing-
it hilt sword down, like to my chest.
They nod. They draw their swords, hold them to their chest,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Brother," and they kind of like bow their heads and they gesture into the temple.
Walking forward.
You step forward, and yeah, this shrine is just before you.
Oh, it
All
fills me with
weapons.
glory.
As soon as you enter, you feel that divine connection to Tempest. This is a place where blood has been spilled, where men and women have been broken on the sand as they should be in battle.
This feels good.
And as you kind of stand there for a moment, he just stops and just stands there with this kind of sword held to him. Ulrich kind of bows his head. And after a few moments, a woman actually in black-clad armor, helm under her chest, and a large flail at her side, steps out and she's like, "What have we here? A pilgrim to Tempest? To Tempest?"
Yes, obviously.
Obviously.
And I stab the sword into the ground.
Okay, there's
And
a
then
moment.
kneel.
There's like a brief moment of stand.
Part
Kneel.
part my prayers.
Okay.
Does the sword shriek?
No, it doesn't taste blood.
Okay.
Just stab into the ground.
There's a moment she lets you finish like a prayer, like a kind of silent prayer.
I'm reciting to Tempest all the kills that I have gained since my last prayer.
She just stands there and listens for a time.
Again.
And then once you finish, she is just like, you can see that she's kind of got a smile, like a smirky smile. And she's just like,
Back up.
it has been a long time since someone has provided such a long list of names. Because I'm guessing you name all like the foes that you killed like in battle before, or
I
just
guess
since.
it's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few.
Yeah, so she's like, it's been a while since somebody has proclaimed so many names to the foe hammer.
Well, they're not doing enough for our god, are they?
Indeed. What is your name?
Bast. Yours?
Bast. I am Priestess Melina.
Priestess. Of what?
Of Tempest, of course. I oversee his temple here, ensure that those who come are worthy.
Right.
And then she kind of puts a hand to a flail, and she's just like, tell me, do you wish to prove yourself worthy?
Yes.
Of course, if you are a strong warrior,
Is Tempest watching?
Tempest is always watching those who wield a blade or flail or weapon in hand.
A true priestess.
It's just like,
Ulrich, stand back.
Ulrich stands back. She like casts some kind of an interested eye at the fact that you have a slave, and then she kind of nods. She goes over, picks up a large shield, kind of mounts it into her hand, puts her helm on, and she's just like, very well. A few rounds, perhaps?
Ah, sure. I've got places to be.
Indeed. There is much to be done. And she kind of drops into a ready stance.
I'm gonna stand like this, like a statue,
Okay.
and wait for her to approach me.
Okay.
I'm basically holding her tongue. I'm not giving up any.
I don't think she'd be that powerful. Is it 4 o'clock? Okay, well, let's conclude this little encounter next time as you and
here
the
for
priestess
a week.
of Tempest
Getting a bit dusty.
prepare. Thank you for letting me know, otherwise I didn't realise what the time was.
Drifted.
That is it for today's episode of Dead Reckoning. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you will join us for more exciting adventures in Thay next time. Don't forget, you can check out our awesome D&D content on the D&D Twitch channel all throughout the week. You can check out the schedule below. Also, don't forget to pick up Tomb of Annihilation, the brand new module. It's really, 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 really good. We've had a lot of fun playing it, and you should check that out. And you can always watch more of us, the High Rollers gang, on our stream, which is Sundays at 5 p.m. BST, 9 a.m. PDT on twitch.tv/Yogscast. And if you'd like to watch our previous episodes, search for Yogs Live on YouTube. And I think that's it. That's goodbye from me and goodbye from everyone else. Goodbye!
Bye.